Hey everyone, I am Beth from Beth Bikes. I am an ultra endurance cyclist and also a cross-country skier, and that is why I'm here today, as I have entered in my first ever cross-country ski race called Book Across the Bay, which starts in Ashland, Wisconsin and goes 10K or about 6.2 miles down to Washburn, Wisconsin. You ski across the bay of Lake Superior, and so I'm doing that this weekend, and I'm going to kind of show you what I have planned as I head out, but then also I will try and document part of the event and get you some information about this event. This is the first time ever skiing it, but I have friends who have skied it before, so I have information that we will start about 6 p.m. There are 4 waves. I'm currently registered for wave 3. I am skate skiing this event, and there are bonfires along the way, a bonfire at the start and the finish. There's 2 pit stops or rest stops at 5K and 8K. My plan right now is to ski the whole thing with 1 stop at the 5K rest stop, but we will see how I am feeling. If I'm feeling good and I want to keep going, I might skip the 5K rest stop and go straight to the 8K rest stop. So with this event starting at 6 p.m., the sun will be setting as we are leaving Ashland. And so the entire course is lined with luminaries. There's like 1,300 luminaries or something like that. The website would have more details, which I will link the link in the description box below if you want to check this event out. It happens every year in February, the week before the American Birkebeiner. So here's everything I am planning on bringing with for the skiing portion. I kind of have 2 categories here. I have stuff that I don't plan on wearing but will have with in case it's warmer or colder than what I'm thinking, and the things I plan on wearing. So we'll start from the bottom. So I have this pair of Wigwam Smart Wool socks that are a longer length, so they come up almost to my knee and they're compression, so it really helps with shin splints. Then I have a pair of just active shorts that I will probably be wearing. So these shorts I plan on wearing, I wear these for most skiing. That's in the like anywhere from like 18 down to like 8 degrees. And then I have my craft ski pants. These pants are worn for wear. I've had them quite a few years. The knees are starting to wear out, and there's some wear on the back too. But there are lots of fires, big bonfires on this course, so I wanted something that if I get a hole in it, I'm not too worried about. So that's what I'm wearing on the bottom. On the top then I have a very thin base layer that's long sleeve, and then I have a Solomon skin that I love. This thing keeps me so warm. It's not very thick, but it's neoprene and it's got breathable sections, and I love that thing. Then I have this windproof coat. The windproof part is super important because that is what keeps me warm. And then it has a hood, which I haven't used super often, but when I want it, it's super nice to have skiing. So that is what I am wearing on top. And then I have a couple of different options for my hands and for my head. So I wear one of these, a buff gator who, I call them all kinds of different things, but just a tube of pretty light fabric. I wear one of these every time that I ski. I usually start with it over my nose, and then by the end of the time it's down around my neck, but it keeps my neck warm, keeps my face warm. Then on my head, I'll either wear this Be Fast headband or my hat, or even sometimes both depending on the weather. This really just keeps my ears warm. This keeps my whole head warm. I'm pretty iconic for this hat, so I probably will wear the hat. And then these are the gloves that I think that I will be wearing. They're a pretty thick glove, but I find that skiing in a glove is easier than a mitten. These are my mittens. I probably won't wear these because my hands do often sweat in these, and having sweaty hands with poles is no fun. But I have them with in case it is colder than I think it's going to be. And then I'm planning on wearing clear or yellow lenses technically. I have a prescription insert that I will put in there, but they're in my sunglasses right now, and I'm going to use my sunglasses before I leave. So that's everything I plan on wearing: the shorts, pants, skin, and base layer, and then the windproof coat, and then these items on my hands and head. Then I have a couple of added layers in case it's colder than I think it's going to be. So this is a thicker base layer than the one that is with my skin right now. I just keep these 2 pieces together because I wear them together. I also have a pink, this is a polar fleece cycling coat by Specialized, and that's also a thermal. It's pretty warm. It's neoprene on the outside and polar fleece on the inside, and that's an added layer that I will wear underneath the windproof coat if it's really cold out, but I usually only wear that if it gets down to negative wind chill. Then I have a pair of tights. They just have little zippers on the back to get them in and out easily, and I would wear those instead of the shorts, again, if it's super cold. But right now the temperature's looking like it's going to be in the low teens or high single digits, so I don't think that I will need those. I have a warmer pair of smart wool socks. They're not as high as the ones that I plan on wearing, and so for the compression aspect, I will probably be wearing those. Then I have a pair of just light liner mittens or gloves that I can wear if needed. I already talked about the mittens. And then I have this, which is just a tube of polar fleece to wear around my neck if it's super cold again. I probably will wear that at the finish to keep my neck warm, but that is everything I have packed for clothing. These are my Salomon Pro Combi boots that I will be planning on wearing for the race. I wanted to talk just a little bit about things that I will be carrying in my pocket and then the things that I will have for afterwards as a quick pick-me-up. So they're requiring everyone has a mask, so I'm going to keep that in my pocket. These are my race slips. They just go on my skis. I'll put those in my pocket as I'm not having a bag for pickup that they'll transport to the end. I'm just going to put those in my pocket. I'm going to bring a honey stinger waffle with me just in case I don't get to the rest area and they don't have something that I can eat, as I'm dairy free, but also just in case something were to happen and my blood sugar gets super low, just eat that quickly and I should be ready to go. My phone to record on Strava, and then my headlamp. They're saying not to bring headlamps or wear them because there are luminaries along the route, but I want to have one just in case something were to happen, luminaries were to be out, something were to happen, I'm out on the course longer than I want to be. I just would rather have one and feel safe about that. Then my favorite post-workout, post-ride, post-ski snack is Swedish Fish. So I'm bringing this to share with people. And then a bottle of Sunny D just as a sugary treat. We're going to have dinner at the end too, but just as a quick sugar. And then I wanted to mention this, I will not be wearing this, but this is just a water bottle holder that I usually wear when I'm skiing, but because of the rest stops, I will not be bringing that because I'd have to stop to drink water out of it, and if there are rest stops, I will be stopping at those. It is the day before the race, and my dad so graciously waxed his skis and my skis with just one coat of liquid wax. Hey guys, we are on the road. We are currently in Hayward, Wisconsin, home of the American Birkebeiner. We left about 11:30 and we'll be making it to the check-in where we get our bibs at about 3 p.m. and then we will head to Ashland. So I will see you when we get to bib pickup. So we got to bib pickup, and that is actually the point of the finish of the race. So we went down and looked at the finish, and that was the first time that we noticed the wind that we were going to be dealing with later that evening. We figured out that it was going to be a tailwind, so at least we had that going for us. Then we got in line and picked up our bibs. They wrote our names in the back of our numbers and we safety pinned them on. Then we drove over to Ashland where we got to talk to CJ, a friend of ours, and take some pictures with him. Most people parked their car in Washburn at the finish and then took the shuttle back to Ashland. We had my mom coming with us to be our shuttle driver. This also meant that at the start and finish we could have our warm coats and extra layers that we then didn't have to ski in. Between 3:30 and 5, we spent a lot of time in the racer warming tent set up in Ashland, Wisconsin.
us a fist bump.
We hung out with some other friends right before the race started, and then about 10 minutes to the start, we knew it was go time. We took off our coats and our extra layers that we had been wearing to keep warm, and we lined up for the start. The sun was setting, and they gave us some announcements, and we were off.
Alright, I don't think that really...
Once again, let's hear it for our volunteers and sponsors for this year's Book Across the Bay.
How close to the start?
The way the course is set up is that the skate skiing is on the left-hand side, the furthest left is the snowshoers and runners, and then to the right there are 2 sets of classic tracks. And the entire course is set up like that. The start line is probably about 3 or 4 times as wide as the rest of the course because everyone is starting, there's this mass start, and then it really narrows down. So we ended up starting in wave 1 instead of wave 3 like we had registered for because it was so cold due to the wind. So the wind was bringing the wind chill from the air temperature of about 15 degrees down to about -4 because of that wind. So our fingers and our toes were starting to get cold. I ended up putting on an extra pair of socks, and I was so glad that I did that as my toes didn't get cold. But as we were about to start the race, my fingers were frozen. So starting in wave 1 and just getting out on the course and getting moving was the key. So by about 3K, my fingers were nice and warm. I started with my hood up actually to keep the wind out of the back of my neck, and that helped a ton to keep me warm as well. At about 4K, my mouth was starting to get a little bit dry, and I knew that I was going to need to stop at the 5K rest stop to get water. I pulled into the 5K rest stop using my step turns. I put my hand out and asked water, water, water. Someone gave me a small water bottle of water, which I opened, chugged, threw in the trash can, and kept going. I spent no more than a minute at this rest stop. Then I kept going. At the 8K mark, they had the fire-breathing dragon, which the Book Across the Bay is known for.
8K!
Then at the 9K mark, I still had life left in my legs, and I hit it hard. I ended up passing 5 people in the final kilometer and came into the finish with a time of 40 minutes 53 seconds, which was well under my 1 hour, which was my goal. Then my mom was right there at the finish line. She got a couple pictures of me, and her and I waited there for my dad to come in. We saw him come in at about 53 minutes. And then we met up with some of our friends and hung around the bonfire for a little bit and watched the fireworks go off. Then we were getting pretty cold because of that wind, and they didn't have a racer tent at the end set up, so we took all of our stuff, took our skis, said goodbye to our friends, and headed to where we were staying for the night. As a cross-country skier, I know how important conditions can be, so I wanted to explain a little bit how the conditions were for Book Across the Bay 2022. So there were points because of the wind that there were snow drifts to deal with, which meant that there were other parts where there was ice, just the ice of Lake Superior that you were running into. But I felt like there was pretty good snow coverage the whole way. It had been groomed. I heard from people that were skiing classic that the snow had drifted into the classic tracks, which was causing some issues. But I didn't ski in the classic tracks as the luminaries were lining between the skate deck and the classic tracks. There were some luminaries that were out between 8K and 9K. There were quite a few luminaries that were out, and I just had to trust that I knew what I was doing and keep keep skiing. So they also ended up having Christmas trees and kilometer markers every kilometer, telling you how many kilometers you had already done and how many kilometers there were to go. It was pretty good skiing and I really enjoyed it. I felt like I skied well and I had a great time out there. So this was my racer report of Book Across the Bay 2022. I hope you enjoyed this and you got to know a little bit more about what Book Across the Bay is all about. See ya!